My name is Myriam and I'm a PhD student at Oxford and also part-time researcher and journo. Save an Orphan is important to me because part of my faith advocates caring and looking after orphans. I think we sometimes forget that there are countries in which those institutions absolutely rely on the voluntary sector, and for that reason, if there aren't people actively involved in those sectors, that people literally have no one to care for them, they have no support system, they have no security blanket. I suppose probably one of the hardest things is going to be the reality of human suffering, if I'm honest. We see it on TV, we hear about it, we read about it, but to actually be confronted with people whose circumstances are so dire and to realise the sort of limited ability in which one individual can affect change on that, I think that's quite an emotionally difficult situation, and that's probably what I think I'll find most difficult.
I'm here in Dhaka, the bustling capital of Bangladesh, to visit some of Save an Orphan's most flagship projects. We're here today in Camilla district, just south of Dhaka, to visit one of the orphanages that's sponsored by Save an Orphan. And when I say orphanages, this shack behind me really is it. This is where 100 plus orphans and children in need eat, sleep, and are taught. This is literally it.
I met with Mohammed, the head of the orphanage, to find out more about the facilities available to the children.
Mohammed has just explained that this whole room is it. This is the whole orphanage with the torn up flooring and shredded panelling. This is really everything to the kids. The blackboard in the background is there because this is where they learn. And that bedding over there is there because that's what gets put down at night for the children to sleep on.
I wasn't there long before I noticed for myself the children's desperate living conditions.
So how do you fund the orphanage on a day-to-day?
স্টার্ট করে এটার আস্তে আস্তে পরিবর্তন ঘটাতে চেষ্টা করি। যারা গরিব শ্রেণীর ছেলে মেয়ে তাদেরকে বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে কিছু কিছু সাহায্য সহায়তা এনে তাদেরকে লেখাপড়ার ব্যবস্থা করতেছি।
So what difference has Save an Orphan made to this orphanage, and what are your hopes for the future?
Save an Orphan এটুকুনো দিতে পারবে আমাদেরকে, মনে করেন আমাদের ঘর নাই, হ্যাঁ, তারপরে বাথরুম নাই, ছেলে মেয়েদের থাকার মতো ব্যবস্থা নাই, তো ক্লাসরুম ঠিক মতো নাই। এইগুলো যদি আপনার ডেভেলপমেন্ট একটা বিল্ডিং করতে পারে, যেমন এই যে এইখানে আমাদের একটা প্ল্যান করছি, এই প্ল্যানটার মাধ্যমে যদি এই যে এটা যদি করতে পারি এটা প্লাস, তাহলে হয়তো এই সমস্যাগুলোর সমাধান হবে।
School's just broken for lunch. All the kids are headed off into the village now to fill up their traditional tiffin boxes. They're reliant, like all of the orphans here, on the generosity of the local villagers, and that's where we're headed now to get some lunch.
Rafat and I headed to a nearby village a short walk away, where I wanted to ask a local woman what motivated her to help the orphans. What I found sobering was realising she herself was living in poverty, with barely a roof over her own head, and yet she continued to provide meals for the children.
What inspired you to get involved with looking after orphans?
সোয়াবের লাগে খাওয়াইতেছি আল্লাহর রাস্তে, এতিমখানা হইছে, এতিমখানার লাগে খাওয়াইতেছি।
So, in addition to being their schoolroom and their lunchroom, this is also their bedroom.
Every time I close my eyes, I see you in front of me. I still can hear your voice calling out my name, and I remember all the stories.
From us here in Camilla, it's good night and goodbye.
Bye! I wanted to stick around to see the kids' bedtime routine.
It's the time to water around.
It was upsetting to realise they all have to sleep here in such basic conditions.
I spent with you.
So we've just got back from Camilla district where we spent the day today. There were no chairs, there's no rugs, there were no beds. it's really very, very basic. Spending the day with Rifat, who is one of the young orphans that we met, who recently lost his father, and his family couldn't care for him, so he's ended up at the orphanage. He's clearly quite malnourished. He's 10 years old, but he's probably the heightened size of about a 6 or 7 year old. Definitely very challenging to realise just how little this little guy has and how dependent he really is on people's generosity in order to just survive.
I think the most obvious thing when you travel somewhere like Bangladesh is just how desolate it is. I mean, the poverty is another level compared to many other countries, and I've travelled quite extensively, but realising that there are literally millions of people throughout the world that are going without really very basic necessities that we all in the West take for granted. That ranges from sort of driving past slums where you might see children who don't even have clothes. I mean, they're lacking just even the basics of clothing. Basic sanitation isn't provided, where children are living in squalor, really, in real squalor, and it's profoundly shocking. That was probably one of the most eye-opening experiences, was to just realise the depth of poverty in which many of these children have to survive. And it is survival, it's not living, it's just surviving in their day-to-day.
One day, everybody will be smiling on you. Everybody will